You are listening to We Saw the Devil, an investigative and conversational true crime podcast that deep dives into fascinating criminal cases that are solved, unsolved, or ongoing. From America's Lori Vallow to Germany's Armin Meiwes, we examine and discuss the world's most shocking cases. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to follow us online. Check us out at WeSawTheDevil.com and We Saw the Devil on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget, you can become part of the show by backing us on Patreon. Hello everyone, you are listening to We Saw the Devil. This is Robin, and today's episode is for all of you Lori Vallow case followers out there. As everyone knows, I took a vacation for the last couple weeks, did the update, and as promised, we are back with a Lori Vallow episode. We're going to be doing a news update episode for the Lori Vallow case on all of the stuff that we didn't cover during the vacation. However, this episode, we basically, and by we, I mean myself, Brittany, whom all of you know, as well as Iris. Iris returns. You may remember her from our autopsy discussion with an autopsy technician episode. The three of us watched the abomination that was the Lori Vallow Lifetime movie, otherwise known as DOOMSDAY MOM, and we sat down to discuss it. And we had an absolute blast. We had so much fun discussing this. In all honesty, it's a fine line to walk. The entire film is a travesty. It's offensive. It is vile. It is disgusting. It never should have been made, to be quite honest with you. We all strongly believe that. However, we came together to discuss it just basically from an overtop view, technically speaking, and broke it down basically scene by scene. This is for all of you hardcore followers out there of the Lori Vallow case, because I can guarantee you that a lot of people aren't going to want to listen to us discuss a Lifetime movie in depth over, 2 hours. So this is part one of our discussion of DOOMSDAY MOM. Also coming on Saturday is another episode that was promised, which is criminal musicians. Musicians who have committed heinous crimes. I know that immediately off the top of your head, you likely have a laundry list like R. Kelly. How the list goes on and on. I will be choosing some top cases of musicians, band members, whatever, who have done some pretty unspeakable things. Look forward to that on Saturday. To get the housekeeping out of the way, you can find us at WeSawTheDevil.com. Across all social media channels, also at We Saw the Devil. And if you like the show, love the show, want to support the show financially, back it, and get some pretty cool stuff, sign up for our Patreon. You can do that at patreon.com/We Saw the Devil. For as little as $3 a month, you can get cool stuff like stickers, postcards, merch, true crime gift, random things, and a really cool Facebook group with just patrons. And don't forget, if you are an executive producer patron, you can come on the show to discuss the case that interests you the most. Basically, you pick the case that you are absolutely obsessed with. I read up on it as well. And then you come on the show for an episode and we discuss it, tell the story and discuss it. Really looking forward to getting those scheduled. And financially isn't the only way you can support the show, guys. If you're liking the show, enjoying it, please take just a couple seconds out of your day to head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. 5-star reviews. And hey, not just for my podcast, but also for any podcast that you enjoy listening to, because it really makes a world of difference. iTunes reviews are very important for algorithms, sponsorships, advertisements, and things like that. So please, if you're liking it, take a few moments out of your day and leave a 5-star review. So I'm just going to go ahead and air part one of our review of DOOMSDAY MOM. Again, I want to make it explicitly clear that we found just the production of this film as a whole to be absolutely revolting. But we wanted to review it anyway because Lifetime movies are hilarious. So we're kind of, looking at it from outside the box and basically discussing it that way. So I hope all of you understand. I'm going to go ahead and give you a spoiler alert. We watched this so you don't have to. Please don't watch it. Please don't watch it. It took me a handful of attempts to even get through it. It's unimaginable. So let's go ahead and get part one out of the way. So Iris and Brittany, thank you so much for coming on to help me unwrap this. I mean, this film was a gift that I just could not unwrap by myself. Everyone knows Brittany. Brittany, do you want to say hi?
Hi.
And she is a self-admitted Lifetime movie fanatic.
I prefer to go by Lifetime movie whore.
Which one is your favorite?
Oh my gosh. I'm not going to lie. I binge all of the Lifetime Christmas movie ones, like every single holiday one. I'm not kidding. I desperately love the cheesiness of everything Lifetime does. I always have.
I was, hoping for a title so that we could really judge you and the listeners could really judge you and your tastes and just see where the bar has been set.
Oh gosh. I'm like on the spot. I don't know.
That's okay. Well, that's okay. And then Iris. Iris is one of my favorite humans in the entire world. I have known Iris for, 15 years now. It's been a long time. Do you want to tell everyone about yourself, where you come from, and what you do?
Yes, 15 years. That's a mighty long time. So, yeah, I've been on here before, as some folks know. We went over the autopsy for Lori's brother. And that's basically, I used to be an autopsy technician, and now I work for a hospital group, but I do have a couple of podcasts.
And tell everyone where they can find your podcasts and what they are about.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm on one called Theme Warriors, that we pick a particular theme, and there's 4 of us. We all 4 bring a movie to the table and we review them. Then there's also the Cinema Beef podcast with Gary, and it's basically 2 movies that are also related. I review those. Both of those podcasts can be found on legionpodcasts.com. And then there is my regular, which is Badasses, Boobs, and Body Counts. And basically what we do is we review exploitation cinema from the 50s to the 80s. And you can find that at exploitationfilms.com.
And that's how I got to know you, was through back in the day through my horror podcast. And you're one of my favorite people ever. You have excellent taste in movies.
Well, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. As you.
So thank you both again for coming on. Guys, I'm not going to lie, and listeners, I'm not going to lie. It took me like 6 attempts to get through this. So
holy crap.
We have a lot to talk about and break down.
You watched it 6 times?
No, girl, I attempted, keyword attempted, to watch this 6 times because it's
okay.
Lifetime network films already have a very low bar. You know what to expect going in, right? And I think that's why they're such guilty pleasures.
Yes.
I learned today that I only like Lifetime originals, like, fresh plot, fresh story, and not dramatization. We will discuss this.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get the technical aspect of this movie out of the way first. It's called Doomsday Mom, and it was directed by Bradley Walsh, who, guys, this is the first film, and not gonna lie, I'm kind of hoping the last film that Bradley Walsh has ever made.
That's something.
It is something. It was written by a gentleman named Stephen Tolkien. I wish that he had more in common with the actual Tolkien, but unfortunately, the name is just where it ends. He has written such amazing films such as Conrad and Michelle, If Words Could Kill, Cleveland Abduction, Taxi Brooklyn. He did the Craigslist Killer movie 10 years ago. And yeah, he's done a lot of just TV random, things here and there, but nothing of note, really.
So this was his big break.
Oh God. As far as, let's just start with the cast, okay? Before we get into the film itself, let's just start with the cast. Lauren Lee Smith was chosen to play Lori Vallow, and I have been very vocal about this. I do believe with every fiber of my being that they should have picked Sherry Moon Zombie, Rob Zombie's wife, as Lori Vallow. They are twins. I feel like maybe she turned it down if they did ask. I mean, I don't know. Lauren Lee Smith, in my opinion, was not a great pick.
No, and did you see how far down the cast, the casting call she is? I mean, she's underneath Zulema, which I didn't even see.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, she's not even listed as a star.
No. And yet she has all the screen time.
Exactly.
Allison Winzura was chosen as Melanie Gibb.
Too pretty.
She's gorgeous. Looks nothing like Melanie Gibb. But who wants to talk about that voice acting, though?
Good God. I mean, dude, she nailed that shitty accent. What is that accent, anyway?
It's a Utah accent. Sorry, Utah.
Is it?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
Utah. Well, like Salt Lake City type. Used to live there for a while, and yeah, very much Utah.
I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie.
I just thought she nailed it. I remember, I don't know if I was just maybe a few too many gin and tonics in the first time I watched it through, but the second she spoke at that little scene, I was gasped out loud. Oh my gosh, she nailed that shit.
She really did. I was impressed. Someone else I think that got the aesthetic down was Joshua Hinkson, who played Alex. I feel like maybe Alex was pretty accurate. Alex's portrayal, from what we know, was fairly accurate.
Very much.
Yeah, that's what I kind of got from that. I think the biggest disappointment for me cast-wise in this entire thing, other than the Woodcocks, the rest is just atrocious. We have the Woodcocks, who they look nothing like them. They speak nothing like them. They're awful. Spencer Lord plays Nate Eaton, and that is just, there could not be anyone who looks just further from Nate Eaton than who they cast. And then
they were so forgiving. So forgiving.
That was definitely an upgrade, but not as big of an upgrade as Mark Blucas playing Chad Daybell.
Oh my God. Agreed.
It was frightening too. They even went out the way to get his little headshot on the back of the book of the movie. It was just ridiculous.
This entire thing is ridiculous. So let's get into the film itself. I would like to start with a note that they actually play at the end of the film. Why? For the purpose of filmmaking, this note always goes at the end, this note always goes at the beginning and then also again at the end, typically, right? It's usually put in both places. This one's just nah, fam, we're going to let you believe that this is actually a true story and no dramatization, and then just be a little afterthought at the end. So the very note at the end says, while this film is based on a true story, certain characters, characterizations, incidents, locations, and dialogue were fictionalized or invented for the purposes of dramatization. With respect to such fictionalization or invention, any similarity to the name or to the actual character or history of any person, living or dead, or any actual incident is entirely for dramatic purposes and not intended to reflect on any actual character or history. No shit, because that is pretty much just this movie, half of it, when they say fictionalized, they mean fictionalized, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Brittany, how about you start us all off and start at the very beginning and what we witness as we push play?
Okay, so to kick things off, I would say in general, this entire movie, if you could summarize the whole thing, it's almost as if someone gave an artificial intelligence bot type thing all of the East Idaho news stories of the Daybell case and then told it to spit out the script, because it's a clusterfuck. You start off opening up in Hawaii. It starts off there with Nate Eaton doing the Nate Eaton thing of where are the children? And then we just Tarantino this shit right back to Christmas of 2017. So
nicely done, sure. Tarantino. Very good.
Thank you. I'm not entirely sure if that was the hook to pull us in, because again, for the most part, the people who are watching this, they probably know about the case. But what about the people who have never even heard of it and they were what's on Lifetime, and they clicked on this? Wouldn't they be confused as shit to go from Hawaii to Christmas 2017 and there's zero context yet?
There is zero context in this entire thing. Guys, I have covered this case for almost a year and a half now, and I had no idea what was going on in this movie. I was so confused.
You have no idea how many times I had to stop the movie because it was on demand. That's how we were watching it, and explain to them, okay, this is what really happened, okay? Or if you're confused here, this is because this, and this. And then press play.
Oh my gosh. So it's an hour and 20 minutes or so, right? So how long did it take you, Iris, to go through the whole thing explaining?
About 2 hours. About 2 hours. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay. They rewind from Hawaii all the way back to Christmas of 2017, and it's so awkward. You've got Lori and Charles, and you have Alex and I believe it's Brandon, and they call her Lainey, but that's Melanie Boudreaux. They just call her Lainey in there because they're like, fuck it, why not? So it's Brandon Boudreaux and Melanie Boudreaux going by Lainey this entire time. You see Tylee at the table, JJ's there. They're decorating the Christmas tree, and someone finds some mistletoe, and Alex starts chanting, "Mommy and Daddy kissing under a tree," which it's not a tree. Also, he's like monotone chatting. It's so cringy. Like, all of it is so awkward.
To me, it seems like they're trying to set Alex up as the creepy guy.
Yeah, definitely.
See, and I thought they were trying to make him the funny uncle the entire time, but they like butchered it somehow. They somehow made him accidentally the creepy uncle, but they were trying to make him fun. Because like this isn't the only time that he like bursts into chant or song. This is like one of 3 times in the movie they have him do that. Mm-hmm. So it was ridiculous. But my favorite is the Woodcocks come as well, all the way from Louisiana. And that's actually how Laurie introduces them. Mm-hmm. "Oh, look, JJ, it's your grandparents all the way from Louisiana." Like, it's just like they had to like try writing in facts to make it smooth, and it's really not. But yeah, Laurie comes in, sets the turkey down, no context, and they transition naturally from there to a garage sale. Like, they just magically end Christmas dinner, and now you've got Tylee and JJ with Laurie at a garage sale, shopping for spiritual books is what's written on the box.
Yeah, right. Because that's totally something that you see at every yard sale. But also, let's talk about Tylee and JJ and basically the actors and how they portrayed them. That was really interesting. So far, we don't really have much action. Nothing. JJ isn't really shown. He's just kind of like an afterthought at this point, just kind of like running around, right? Tylee, what I found very interesting, especially at the Christmas dinner, is that Tylee's like all sullen, like the teenage girl thing. They did not cast her accurately as far as physically at all. And she's all upset over a boy.
Yes, her not so faithful boyfriend that went to Jumanji without her instead. Yeah. And then to like pick her spirits up, Lainey, aka Melanie Boudreaux, is like, "Don't worry, Jesus is coming."
Right.
Because that fixes everything.
Yeah.
Suddenly betrayal doesn't sting too much.
Exactly. Tylee's betrayal was actually like really bothersome to me. Yeah, that was awful. But the yard sale, when we're picking up in the next scene with the spiritual books, like we've all seen those, right?
Well, it depends on where you're at. If you're in Salt Lake City, you're gonna have one of those.
Really?
Oh, heck yeah, man.
Can one of our listeners from either Idaho or Utah tell me if you've ever been to and or put on a yard sale and like labeled the box spiritual books? Please let me know. I live in the South. We're disproportionately religious here as well, and I've never seen that.
I'll be the millennial of the group. Do we even have yard sales anymore? Like, we have Facebook Marketplace and like, all the apps to sell. Like, I haven't seen a yard sale and I can't remember how long.
Oh, dude, come down here.
Yeah, they're everywhere here.
What the? I guess I'm showing I don't get out much. Okay, moving on.
So Laurie finds Chad Daybell's book. And do you guys, Iris, do you want to talk about this moment? Like the crucial moment of this movie where Laurie finds this book.
Oh, and she is immediately enthralled and captured and captivated by such a beautiful man on the back of the page. And she grabs the book like if it's her lifeline. It is her freaking lifeline. And if she lets go of this book, she will die.
100%. She's cradling it.
Yeah, she cradles it up to her chest. And I'm like, it's a book. I mean, I do have H.P. Lovecraft books that I feel like that about, but it's a book.
Yeah. Right.
And you haven't even read it. But, it's kind of like, but, to me, it's kind of like, are they already trying to establish this mystical, spiritual connection between these two? It seems like. So this movie seems like it ramps that up really fast, really quick.
Yeah. 100%. And then to interrupt her book orgasm that she's having, JJ starts throwing this tantrum. So he's like, hey, Mom, didn't you say we were going to go downtown and go to this thing? And Lori's like, yeah, but traffic. So JJ starts having this tantrum. And at this point, we can assume that JJ, like they haven't actually, have they said at this point that he has autism? I don't think they've even like established that yet,
no,
right?
I don't think so.
No, when they established that is when Melanie is talking at that survivor prepper thing.
Yes. So again, we know what's actually going on, but to someone who's never seen this movie before, all they see is like and I'm not saying this to like make fun of anything whatsoever. I'm just saying like they didn't give context. And so Lifetime just makes JJ look like this really grumpy kid that like they don't establish it right away. So you just have Tylee coming in to step in to calm him down as quickly as counting to 10. And apparently that set Lori off. Like she can barely handle an actual 10-second tantrum.
Yeah.
She cannot handle it.
But what she can handle is she can handle reading Chad's book and literally losing her ever-loving shit. Because it then flash forwards to or forwards to them at home, and Lori's sitting on their bed in the bedroom and Charles is brushing his teeth. Poor innocent Charles is just like trying to get ready to go to bed. And Lori's losing her shit. She's like, oh my God, and the destruction, and the end times, and and we need to get ready. Can you please tell me we're going to get ready? And Charles is like, WTF.
Settle the fuck down.
I love it because if you actually look at how she's holding the book too, the majority of the pages are on the left-hand side of the screen, meaning Lori's read 4 pages of this book and she's shitting herself.
Yes. The casting of Charles, and he was just doing his best to be the supportive husband. Like, sure, honey. It's, yeah, sure, we can. It's cool.
Yeah. And then he makes me want to barf because for whatever reason, the sound editor on this decides to amp up the kissing sounds on Lori's shoulders as Charles is like trying to calm her down. I actually gagged the first time. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I need to do some self-reflection or something, but like I could barely handle the sound of it.
Guys, we were not even 5 whole minutes into this film at this time, and this is actually where I stopped the first time on my first attempt. Because not only do we have really nasty ASMR, which I can't handle on a good day. So the sound editing on this is just atrocious. And the editing, the very first thing that I noticed is the actual cinematography and the editing, the way that they actually cut between scenes. There are in the first 5 minutes of this film, let's just use the yard sale as an example. Lori's standing there looking at a box, and then the camera cuts to like a tree for like 4 seconds. There's not even anything in the frame. It's just like a tree. Or it cuts to a wall. Like, it's the most just awful editing, abrasive, and it cuts to the most random stuff for no reason whatsoever.
It's the best. I love it. It was just like, it's almost like Lifetime doesn't know how bad they did to a glorious level. Like, it just, chef's kiss. It's terrible.
Worse than I've actually ever seen it, to be honest.
Amazing.
I have to agree.
Well, so Charles, basically to shut Lori up, sloppy kissing her shoulders and goes, hell yeah, babe. Except not hell yeah. Yes, let's go to this survival camp thing that you're talking about. If it's going to make you feel better about when Jesus comes again, let's go to your camp.
Which is really sad.
Yeah, we get a little casual racism at the camp.
It's real quick, please correct me if I'm wrong. Does Charles even show up in this scene that he agreed to going to this camp?
No.
I don't think he actually was at the camp. I think the writers forgot to take him to the camp he agreed to go to.
This is true.
True.
We see Alex. Well, here's what's interesting. It's like, okay, so this is the first time you're going to this, but it kind of looks like Alex Cox is the one that is heading the shooting range, like he's the range master. And I'm like, but wait, you guys don't even know about these people. How are you now the range master here? It was kind of it was a little confusing to me. It was like, oh, wait, you guys don't know about these prepper people yet, right?
Yeah, it's their first encounter. They've heard about this. She's barely found this book. Like, we're assuming that she's new to this because they haven't established a baseline whatsoever. So yeah, so what we're seeing is strangers show up to a survival camp where there's just a table of guns just sitting out.
Yep, and you can go up to them and use them and shoot them and, oh, look how good you are.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so are they trying to establish that Alex Cox was a good shot?
It would appear that that's what they were trying to go for.
And if you ask me, this whole movie is, let's set up Alex Cox. This is basically what that movie was for me, but please continue.
Well, let's talk about his little bigotry moment. I don't know why the writers felt the need to put this in here, because to date, I don't think we've had a single written anything where they've established in real life that Alex was a bigot. I mean, we can like maybe guess, but like they didn't need to make a reference to, quote, shooting a hairy terrorist is the line they gave Alex in this movie. Like, it was entirely not needed for them to write this. But cool. Thanks, Lifetime.
I completely agree. They added so many random weird touches that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. But let's talk about the Melanie Gibb introduction, because I believe Iris actually nailed this one when she said that. So there's no discussion of autism quite yet until Laurie stumbles across Melanie Gibb doing one of her talks. And she talks basically about her child with autism. And so that's how Laurie connected to Melanie Gibbs. And then it doesn't show them meeting. It doesn't show them anything. It literally just shows in the next scene them taking a long walk together.
You know, to me, I thought they were going to hold hands and everything. I was like, well, that looks rather intimate for meeting somebody so quickly.
I'll be the first to call out the little moment though that happened before their walk. While Melanie is finishing up her talk thingy, Laurie puts a hand over her heart like, yeah, queen, yeah. And then Melanie sees this and puts her hand over her heart. And somehow it was the gayest thing I've ever seen in my life. I loved it. I also want to throw out the quote they said during their walk. They said, I've barely known you an hour and I already love you. And Lifetime, give us the lesbian romance spinoff for these two. You nailed that shit.
Where's the U-Haul?
Yes. It was a little gay. I'm not gonna lie.
Little scotch. Just a scotch.
Yeah, and then so after that, then it's back at the house, and then Joseph Ryan, Annie Cushing's brother Joe, Tylee's dad, enters the picture.
That was interesting.
Again, not only did he look nothing like Joseph Ryan, he had no air of Joseph Ryan. He just comes in and starts yelling at Laurie.
Well, he did wait 1.2437 seconds to be like, Tylee, go upstairs. And then he launches into yelling. So plenty of time for Tylee to run up a flight of stairs. Plenty.
Again, trying to establish Laurie as the victim here.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was what this entire film did. And we'll do our critiques later at the end of this episode. But it was just so gross, you know? I mean, up until this point, everything is just pointing to Laurie being this sweet, pure, maybe even a little naive little housewife. Even her religious fanaticism. We all know that she was, hardcore LDS.
Well, she wasn't a fundamentalist because they're the polygamist, but she was, I would have to say, a little zealous. And to the fact where, she wanted that temple recommend because she was going to kill someone.
She was definitely a zealot. Melanie Gibb is a huge zealot. And Lifetime, for some reason, decides to go the route and just portray these women as just the sweetest, kindest, most just naive and confused people on earth when they're really not.
I really thought it was hilarious, though, how, right before Joe Ryan enters the entire scene, they really amp up how spiritual Laurie is because she's on her knees praying to God for strength for this husband about to walk through the door. And she's praying out loud. I don't know. They definitely tried really hard to paint her as this holier than thou woman.
I'm very surprised that Laurie was the one that got this character development and not Tammy, because Tammy was truly this person that they're trying to portray Laurie to be.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
that was a little upsetting to me because Tammy is shown like some dumb broad Who doesn't get it?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really disgusting and off-putting for me. And
Yeah.
another thing too that they do is what Zach, I believe, has done the interviews, and also Colby, that as everyone likes to say that Lori and Alex were super close, always super close, but both Colby and Zach have said that that's not true. That Alex actually entered the picture way, 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 way later. Like, they weren't always close. Alex was off pretty much his entire life doing his own thing. And then he pretty much like entered Lori's circle on a more permanent basis shortly before the Chad Daybell shit, right? So
yeah, I've read the same thing.
Yeah, I've read that everywhere, more or less. And why did Lori go see him do stand-up?
First of all, loved it that he bombed. They could have written him to be an amazing comedian, right? They made him a racist. Why not make him a funny comedian? But no, they show him bombing. And they show them having cocktails, which, like, it would take 10 seconds for someone to Google, do Mormons drink alcohol? And it would just be a hard no. But by all means, they're at a comedy club. They're having several cocktails. And Lori stays to watch every single open mic, assuming that they stayed long enough for them to be the only ones left at the club.
Agreed.
He rubbed her back the entire scene. It was like 45 seconds. And the whole time he was rubbing her back the entire time.
Do you think that they were trying to kind of capitalize on the rumor mill that Alex and Lori had something?
I think so. And they're trying to establish that he is the creepy dude.
Yeah. Okay. You're totally right, Iris.
Yeah, they kind of double down on Alex being a freak show. And then we have JJ throwing another tantrum.
Oh, yep.
I mean,
Poor little JJ.
Poor little JJ. They did him so wrong in this movie too, and I actually found that this aspect one of the most offensive because he had no character development, no nothing for the most part. It was just tantrum after tantrum.
And they gave him a speech impediment. Like, that wasn't necessary.
I think again, I don't know, the character development that they did on this, or maybe what I should say, the non-development they did on this,
yes,
was extremely irritating. But then again, somebody who does not know about this would see all this and they would get this idea of poor woman. This guy just totally, to get in her pants, got all this spiritual. But, us who do know the truth, it's just so fucking irritating.
This movie up to this point has portrayed Lori as this holy, righteous, sweet, great mother, victim of an ex-husband who's angry, and she's just trying to do the right thing. And we all know that is not true.
Very, very true. And I think something that we did not mention that while Lori is praying about, the knife stabbing her in the gut, pain type of thing, they also have her say that, that do me wrong once, I'll deal with it, do me wrong twice, and I can kill you. Whatever that quote that she had said about wanting to kill Joe, because...
Yeah.
Isn't this where she basically said, like, the murderous heart piece?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the one.
There you go. Thank you. So at least they got that right.
Sort of, right? Like,
in context.
They almost get it. But, like, obviously that quote came from a podcast, and, like, it was just... They completely butchered this and several other quotes that I was like, hell yeah, Lifetime, way to fuck it up again. Right after her praying session, they obviously introduced Joe Ryan. Like, the very next scene, she gets the call that he's dead. Like, there wasn't downtime. They went from stop talking to Tylee about the end of the world to phone call, your dad's dead. And then Tylee gets her, like, one of 3 lines the entire movie.
Yeah.
Go for it. Let's hear it, Iris.
God is stupid because, he killed Dad.
What I'd like to throw out is that I believe is the only quote on IMDb for the entire movie that's listed.
Actually, 2, and both of them are Tylee's.
Yeah, both of her lines.
One of them, if God wanted Dad to die, then God is stupid. And then the second one is... Your new friends are weird, even for you. I was like,
but I guarantee the actress that played Tylee added those 2 lines. Like, hell yeah, I'm immortalized. So seconds after Joe Ryan, the announcement comes through on this call. Tylee's obviously upset. Seconds later, lesbian lover, Melanie Gibb, calls up and basically intuitively knows that Lori needs to talk to her, right? And Lori goes, "Of course you call the moment I need you." I'm sorry, guys. They need a spinoff. They need to. They might as well. If they're just gonna completely just like shit in the history and facts, like just make it fun at this point.
Might as well if you're gonna do the crime.
So Melanie says, "Girl, I got you. I know exactly what you need. You need to meet Chad Daybell in St. George, and I'm driving."
And so off they go. And then we get our introduction to Chad Daybell.
We're in this nice hotel, right? It's like way too big of a hotel. It's way too nice of a hotel. They show Chad at this pulpit. It's way too big of a crowd. It's no one actually, there's definitely not that many people that ever came specifically to hear Chad Daybell speak. And he's giving this presentation and he's just cycling through stock photos of disasters and people just break out into applause. Like, yes, natural disasters.
And then they meet, right? And we were watching it with subtitles because I have a hard time hearing. Inspirational music. I was like, really?
It was really bad.
Really?
It became a little Touched by an Angel.
So
I was like, oh my God.
They switch between like slow-mo and regular speed too in there. Like they kind of like mix it in here and there, like when they like look up and their eyes meet. But then like their voices, the only way I can describe it is like you're looking at them try and have this conversation with the intensity of trying to get through a conversation when you've got Taco Bell diarrhea at like the door knocking. So they're like trying to get through this conversation to show how intense their connection is.
Seriously, I mean, I thought background music was gonna break out into da na 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 na. It was like, whoa.
I loved it. And then Chad discreetly goes, "Meet me in the lobby after this crowd dies down." What was with that gruff voice he used the whole time? Was that supposed to be like sultry or was that his real voice?
He almost sounded like Bane in the Dark Knight or whatever.
Yes, and it's definitely not his voice because we've heard it. They're here. They're here and they're searching.
Nailed it.
Which, if any of you guys have listened, we actually got a video of Chad Daybell speaking like a year ago or whatever.
Yes.
And it's on our YouTube channel, and you can actually see Chad speaking at an event. I think the entire line in that like end note that Lifetime put up in this film, the dramatization and fictionalization, this is exactly what it's referring to.
Yeah. They made Chad's voice just sound like just this macho man thing, like it's deep and it's like all raspy sounding, but then they level out the like allure of his voice to his like constant need to be touching Lori. Like in every scene that they're together, his hands are somehow awkwardly placed on some part of her body, but like not the one you would think. Like his first move, right? They're down in the lobby. Their very first conversation, having just met each other, and he goes in strong. He goes palm to Lori's chest, right over her heart. That's the first. Like, imagine meeting someone for the first time, and you have to put your palm over their heart.
Well, you know, if you're in the medical profession, yeah, but besides that, no.
I wouldn't do that to anybody who I've known for like 50 decades. Like Iris, I've known you for 15 years, and girl, I love you, but I wouldn't do that to you.
No,
okay.
No.
How, like, but and
please
he
don't.
Holds it there. He holds it there. So you two have known each other 15 years. Okay, so Robin, how many seconds could you last holding eye contact, looking straight into Iris's eyes, one hand over her heart, and have a conversation like, "I've known you for however long, blah, blah, blah. We've met in this many worlds." His hand is on her heart that entire scene.
Oh, that would never happen.
No, okay. Nope, never.
Okay.
Love you, girl, but yeah.
Love you, girl.
So keep in mind that like that happened in real life, though, that these two actors had to sit there and do this multiple times over. They didn't know each other before this. This wasn't like their third time working together. They had to meet each other in real life, having probably never had to even get to know what these characters were. They definitely just showed up and started reading lines. And probably how many takes did it take for this guy to continually put his hand over her heart? I genuinely feel so bad for the guy that played Chad. Like, that had to have been so awkward that entire time.
Honestly, okay, speaking for me personally, you know, there are a lot of movies with sex scenes, graphic sex scenes, right? I think me as an actress, like, I would have an easier time faking an actual sex scene with another actor than having what happened between Chad and Lori in this movie take place. Like, you want me to put on like a pasty and like tuck my bits and pieces and, you know, and pretend that I'm having sex with a dude? Sure, I could do that before I could literally have him put his hand on my chest and stare into my eyes.
Yeah, think about that French movie or the gal that's walking through like a tunnel and she gets raped.
Irreversible?
Yes, Irreversible. I was more comfortable.
So little context.
I was more comfortable watching that than this.
Yeah, same. Absolute hard same.
So Lauren Lee Smith, who played Lori Vallow, basically had to get groped by Charles Vallow. She had to get groped by Chad Daybell. And then she had to dry hump a stuffed animal later. Like, this woman deserves a standing ovation. Like, she went through so much to give us this trash, and I'm here for it.
We should invite her on the show to discuss
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Do it.
Where did you pull from emotionally? Where did you go emotionally to be able to do that?
Oh, my God.
Oh. All right.
They leave the lobby and they escalate to a nice romantic walk outside.
Because naturally.
Absolutely. And they start talking about the end times and the gathering of the 144,000. Nothing sets the mood like a little apocalypse talk. Am I right?
Hey, you know, you start talking Fallout for me and it kind of gets me going.
No, same here. Same here.
After this little walk, suddenly Lori's got Chad's jacket around her shoulders and they're walking back into this way too nice of a hotel. Let's be real honest. Best case scenario, Chad was speaking at like a La Quinta Inn. Like, that's that's the best case.
Oh,
but sure, his hotel has an elevator in pretend world. They're walking up towards the elevator and they're now moving right into aliens and zombies. So they're just like, Lifetime's just like slapping these things together as fast as they can to establish the religious baseline here.
Yeah, you know, spiritualism to get in her pants. It's basically what they were showing.
Yes, exactly. The spiritual manipulation
of this poor woman.
poor woman.
And now they're in the elevator. Tensions are rising. And to seal the deal, Chad goes with the classic line that every guy knows, right? If nothing else has worked, if you've touched the woman on her heart, you've held her hands for way too long, you gave her jacket, if she's not like ready to go at that point, you say she's a god and she's going to bring Jesus back to earth. And boom, elevator kiss.
That's how you get them in. Hey, that's how you get a girl in bed, right?
I mean, God, that's how you get me in bed. So, I mean, naturally. And then we have the worst nickname in the history of mankind.
What is it?
Beauty.
What is it, Beauty? Man, they tried so hard to make that work. They used it 3 different times. And every single time it never felt natural. You can like tell. Like, try peppering that in a sentence. Like, you can they could have gone with babe, like, hey babe, like something like that, but no. What is it, Beauty? They're now laying down outside the hotel down by the pool. There's laying. Hotel pools don't open at sunrise, by the way. Just Lifetime. I don't know if you knew this. You have to go within the hours. Like, they don't open until like 10. But sure, they slept outside by the pool. I guess that's what they're saying.
Either that, just hanging out. I don't know.
It was weird. It was sunrise.
They're rebels. They broke the rules. They're rebels.
They're already madly in love.
They're madly in love. They're staring into each other's eyes. And naturally, the first thing on Lori's mind is her brother.
Of course.
Creepy.
Because we still have to paint
She
that
wants-
weird incestuous relationship somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're staring into your mistress's eyes and she's like, tell me about my brother. And he's like, I want to meet him. He sounds great.
AKA,
So-
we've been talking about your brother for a while.
So, Robin, you had mentioned that obviously, like as you've dug into the case for years now, everything has shown that Alex has really only been part of Lori's life for a handful of years. It really hasn't been that long.
Right.
But in the movie, Lori says something about how long Alex has been part of her life.
Yeah, that's a lie. That is incorrect. Alex was doing his own thing. And that's something that I've actually been trying, privately research as far as what Alex was up to in the last several years. He became a truck driver. He did a lot of truck driving. And then he would frequently go to South America on random vacations and stuff. So Alex has a sketchy background to begin with. And none of that included being in Lori Vallow's circle. He would just show up for for tasing Joseph Ryan in the nuts. And he would show up at random, but he was never fully present.
Right. But in the movie, Lori goes on and on about how the devil's been following her around her entire life, but Alex has been her protector ever since they were kids.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lifetime. No context, but got it. Cool.
Right.
Oh, and then they have that party, right?
Yeah, well, Lori asks Chad to come to Arizona, to meet Alex, and Chad's like, yes, I want to meet other elite people who can be part of the 144,000. And so then it basically literally cuts to a party at Lori's house.
And I think Charles was on a business trip. Like, okay, yeah, Charles isn't here. Why don't you come down?
Well, okay, going back to how shitty of editing they did, you would think the very next scene should be that party, right? Like, we've just set it up. Chad wants to meet Alex. Lori wants him to also meet her brother. That's the next step in having an affair. You start by elevator kisses, and then you move right to meeting your brother, having a party at your house. But no, Lifetime decides to then just hurry and throw the Melanie Gibb interview in there with Nate Eaton instead.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. And I like what she says, though. Lori needed to believe in order to fill her emptiness. Well, he sure did fill her emptiness.
He did. Yeah. Nate Eaton's character, right? Or I guess the guy who played me. I don't know. Nate Eaton elaborates and goes, did Chad fill Lori's void? And it was just like, come on. Like, we didn't have to say that, but all right.
Ba-dum-bum.
So, but now it's the elite pool party at Lori's.
No, and I believe this is where Tylee says your friends are weird, even for you.
Correct.
And this is the point, I think, where I stopped at one time and had to explain all of that to Lynn. It's like, okay, here's the deal with this. He's saying that because this was supposed to happen and that was supposed to happen, but then it didn't. And then he said this and this and this.
Based on Lifetime's math, this is Chad and Lori's second time even being around each other in person.
Right.
So by all means, Lori is already asking Chad, will you please divorce your wife already?
Yes.
And then Chad's like, God said I can't. I can't do that. Lori tells Chad with her body language that he won't be filling her void that night. So he sleeps in the guest room and she's back upstairs in her room.
Here comes my favorite part, though.
Your favorite.
Take it away.
Take it away, Iris.
If it's your favorite.
Okay. So he comes up and he knocks. Can I come in? He's like, so yeah, I've got to go. But then he pulls her into the closet and he creates the closet portal. I'm like, I was like, okay, so yeah, I've seen, LARPers do a better job. But okay, please keep going. And he's like, you can communicate to me anytime through in here. I will hear you. You will feel me, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. It just kind of like this whole time also that I'm watching this movie, her incompetency to stand trial is making more and more sense to me. It really, really is. Because if you're believing all this bullshit, lady, you seriously are incompetent to stand trial because you're not all there.
God, I hope not, because that means Melanie Boudreau had a closet portal too. And don't forget, guys, we had a mole in Melanie on Melanie Boudreau's Facebook page for a very long time.
Oh, that's right.
She used to live in her closet and pray constantly. So
God,
I'm sorry.
sad.
Did you say live?
like,
Did you say the word live in her closet?
No, like not live, but she would literally let her children run wild. They would crayon the walls, the floor, strew stuff. Like they would destroy the house, and she would spend hours in her closet praying.
Oh, I'm such a fan of that.
So I wonder if Chad passed the portal to her too. You know, like opened up a portal in her house. Like, does Chad just have like a mobile portal service where he just like goes for like $99.95 and just opens up a portal, or is it free if he wants to fuck you? I don't know.
Or maybe he taught Lori how to do it, and Lori opened a portal for
That's true, huh?
Lanny. I mean, she has a god.
The logic that Lifetime attempted to, right? So the whole reason the portal is even happening is because Chad's got to go. However, he has to establish that Lori can't be with Charles anymore. So, like, in addition to leaving the portal so they could keep their relationship going, he tells her the reasons why Charles is now a zombie. And this is the evidence he presents to solidify his case for why Charles is no longer Charles. Number one, he's just faking how nice of a dad he is. It's just an act. Reason number two, he doesn't seem that into prepping, doesn't seem that excited about it. And three, he falls asleep in church. Now, by those standards, I don't know.
Everybody's a zombie.
I don't know if you guys have had to go to Mormon church before. I did for 25 years. I went basically every Sunday. I can't tell you how many times I fell asleep in church. Like, it's very boring.
It's long, and it's long.
It's so long, and like it's so quiet, and on top of that, it's cold. They could never figured out their air conditioning. I am so jealous of their air conditioning right now. We have a heat wave where I'm at, and I would give my left tit to have a Mormon air conditioner in my home right now.
Damn,
it must be really warm there.
Yeah,
108.
Yeah.
Anyways, Charles is a zombie. Chad didn't get inside of Lori's other portal, and so he leaves an actual closet portal instead. And
true romance.
Natural cut. We just skip over everything else, clear to February of 2019, and Charles is now calling Kay and Larry about Lori being crazy.
Yep.
No context.
None whatsoever.
Extremely awkward.
And the weird cinematography, the weird cuts, and Charles magically now all of his money is gone and his truck is missing. With
no explanation of who or why this happened. Plus, they totally left out Charles asking for, what was it, Arizona PD, Phoenix PD to assess Lori.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That was completely missed, which really pissed me off because then that would have set precedence of this lady's like, whoop-a-doo.
Robin, you said you didn't care for the casting of Kay and Larry. This was their moment that they really got to shine. They got to show off their Southern angry.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you like their, I guess, portrayals at this point?
I am a Southerner. I was born and raised here. I know what Southern mad sounds like. I know what Southern accents sound like.
Awful.
And those accents made me want to self-immolate. Like, I just could not. Nothing bothers me more than people trying to fake being from the South. Like, it just irritates the shit out of me.
The righteous anger was completely not done well.
Not at all. It just seemed like they were walking tropes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like, give them a hush puppy so they can sound Southern.
Exactly. I liked it. They sold me.
Oh.
But I like trash. You guys know what you're doing. You're the professionals here. You knew what you were getting into.
No. Don't get us wrong. We love trash too. It's just that there is a difference between, hey, y'all, and, well, goddamn, that better be done right.
Yeah, exactly. And I love trash too, guys. My entire, everyone loves, Captain America and, all that kind of stuff. My Marvel universe is, all of 90 Day Fiancé and every spinoff it's ever had. That's my Marvel universe. I love trash, but this is just bad trash.
So, Iris, did you not like Kay and Larry's portrayal either?
No, I didn't because, well, like Robin, I lived down there for a while. And if you can compare Angela from Hazelhurst, Georgia, to the Woodcocks that being portrayed here, I mean, it is completely, I don't know. It's kind of like they were trying to telegraph the acting that they were doing, but the accent was just way over the top that it was just not right. It just wasn't, it was grating. It literally, it was grating.
Yeah, it was so grating. And, you know, the Southerners are all about idioms, right?
Oh,
like,
yes.
All about idioms. Like, my aunt, for example, when she's mad about something, she's like, I'm just fit to be tied. Or I'm madder than a wet hen. You know, like, we have a lot of idioms and whatnot. I'm just about to have a hissy fit. We have idioms, and I feel like they just didn't get that aspect right at all. At all.
No, they didn't have one single one. And that righteous, again, that righteous anger, that Southern righteous anger comes through so well when somebody's, you know, just like pissed off and you're like fuck, stay away from that person.
Yeah.
These two didn't have that at all.
I don't know why, but like when I picture Southern angry, I still think it sounds cute.
Well, it kind of does, but
right?
it also makes it's kind of like that psychopath cute.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like,
I don't.
Does
I'm a
anyone-
terrible judge of character, so don't listen to me.
I think it was just really shameful what Lifetime did as a whole. You know, we are laughing at this
Absolutely.
because it's hilarious. You know, not looking at it through those lenses is actually hilariously bad. But like, I think that, you know, not to be like a Debbie Downer here for a moment, it's so offensive. All of this is just so incredibly offensive.
Which is why we are here to troll Lifetime. We're not here to make fun of the actual story or the people who are involved in this case.
Exactly.
I am 100% here to shit on Lifetime.
Yes.
Indeed.
Before everyone gets angry at us. Maybe we should have led with that disclaimer. Like, okay, so it's established I'm the only one that found Kay and Larry somewhat charming in this movie. You guys obviously judged us correctly that it's also terrible and on brand. So right after we see a fake Southern tantrum, we now go to Lori in the closet. Iris, take us away. Your favorite spot for Lori to be in. She's in her portal.
Oh my God. So I think if I remember this correctly, Lori is kind of like holding on. She's cradling that book and she is just trying to talk and get a hold of Chad, I believe. And it's just not happening. And so she has to pick up the phone. I mean, she picks up the phone and she demands. She's like, hey, dude, like, we're not connecting through the portal. WTF? When are you going to get divorced? And he's like, oh, well, you know, that's a little complicated. You know, because the dark forces didn't let things happen the way they were going to happen.
I think it was because her phone wasn't on airplane mode. You can't have
Probably.
the phone in the portal. It really messes with the signal.
Exactly. You know, turn down your Wi-Fi. And yeah, then you'll be able to do all that. But
So that was part one of our Lori Vallow Doomsday Mom Lifetime movie review, guys. I will be airing part 2 on Tuesday of next week. So if you had fun with this episode, there is more coming. So again, check us out at WeSawTheDevil.com. You can email us any questions, concerns, complaints, or compliments at info@WeSawTheDevil.com. We're all across social media as We Saw the Devil. Please leave that 5-star review. And of course, if you're liking the show, loving the show, and want to back us and get to know us on a more personal level, hang out with us on Facebook, video chats, the whole bit, sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/We Saw the Devil. Until next crime.